Well, hey, cabin crew and listeners, friends, welcome to the Conversation Cabin podcast, and I'm your fearless host, Farrah, bringing you into the Paranormal Project Presents Tuesday Top Terror, Episode 3, Insectoid Aliens. How are we feeling tonight, people? My co-host, none other than Courtney from Haunts, Amanda from One Nothing, and Vicky from Mrs. Spooky Obsessed will be a little late, but she will be here soon. But of course, they've all been kind enough to grace us with their presence so we can have some fun, some laughs, talk about some otherworldly beings too. So let's make sure that everyone's audio is working. First of all, Amanda, let me bring you on because I have to say we missed you last week. I hope you know that all of us were thinking of you. We made sure that we said everybody pray for you and your family. So we hope everything's gone okay and things are getting a little better.
I appreciate it. I missed you guys so much. It was so sad to miss it, but I know you guys killed it and everything's smoothed over and under control. So,
Well, as we always say, family first. So that's just it. And Courtney, are you here?
Hey, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Hear you just wonderful. So how are you guys doing tonight? You ready for this episode?
I'm ready.
I'm so stoked to see what you have to say.
Let me tell you what, you know how you girls always say that you were taken on a rabbit hole ride? Well, I definitely was taken down the rabbit hole with insectoids because, you'll get to see in what I wrote. They're very interesting creatures, not much research done on them, not much evidence as much as like greys or reptilians, but definitely very interesting. I think that there is all different types of aliens, more than just the 4 that, of course, we're covering. But I'm excited to tell you a little bit about them. But you know me, I like to get things started with some trivia, some fun facts. So what we're going to do is start off tonight with another edition of Get to Know Your Co-host for all of our listeners out there. So what it is I have 5 questions that I'm going to ask, of course, one at a time, but ask Courtney, Amanda, Vicky here in a little bit. And of course, I'll answer the same question too. And this way you can get to know them beyond the voice, beyond their shows. So, and this isn't anything paranormal, extraterrestrial. This is getting to know Courtney, Amanda, Farrah, and Vicky. So let's start off with Amanda. So Amanda, enlighten us. What is a book or movie that has had a profound impact on you and why?
Ooh. Okay, so my answer for this is going to be the movie The Fountain. And it has a really popular actor, and I can't remember who. I'm pretty sure he was in like one of the Marvel movies, the guy with the thing on his chest. Anyway, that actor. Anyway, the reason it's profound to me is because the movie actually takes place in like 3 different times. It's like past, present, and future, and it's this really convoluted movie. But at the end, it really teaches you a lesson about counting your blessings while you have them and not waiting until you don't have. Thank you, Hugh Jackman. Thank you. Until, it's not about waiting until you've lost something to realize that it matters. And that made a very profound impact on the way that I go about my everyday life. So that's made me more positive in general, that I'm able to count my blessings as I receive them and not when they leave.
I like that. And can you say the name of it again or just type it in the chat so our listeners have it, plus so I can have it too? Because it's hard when I host to like remember everything because I'm trying to say what I say and then hear at the same time and it doesn't work. So but I'm interested in seeing that.
Yeah, it's really great. It honestly, to really understand it, you probably have to watch it a couple times. It's one of those movies that it's a mind fuck. So, the first time you watch it, you're going to be like, what the heck was that? I don't understand. But the more you watch it, the more you pick up those little tiny pieces of information that really build the movie into what it is. And it's really, really profound. It's really, really important. The relationship between the 2 main characters is just the most powerful example of like love that you could ever want. It's not a chick flick by any means, but it's amazing. Just give it a watch.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the recommendation. I'm sure we'll definitely all check it out. And Courtney, let's move to you. So, what is a book or movie that has a profound impact on you and why?
Oh,
Don't hear you yet.
I feel like there's so many in mind, but truly, if you guys read any like fantasy novels, or just like understand like high fantasy in any way, probably Mistborn first, Mistborn book by Brandon Sanderson, mainly just because it kind of blew my mind, the attention to detail and just honestly the like twist and turns at the end. If you're just like looking for like it's not a quick read, but like you'll binge through it if you're interested in like old timey storylines with like a lot of different characters and stuff like that. But also I really liked it because it has a very strong female lead, which is like my favorite thing in books. So definitely recommend it. And let me know what you guys think because the end is wild, and I'll just leave it at that.
Well, can you repeat it again? Because right when you started, I think your internet connection or whatever you're on might be kind of going a little in and out, and you were breaking up really bad.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Okay.
I hear you great now, but when you first started out,
That's weird.
Make sure everybody hears what you said.
Okay. Scary. I was just saying that probably like biggest, I don't want to say like I guess the most profound book that I've ever read just from a fantasy perspective is called Mistborn. And it's one of those stories that is like not quick to read at all. It's a very long book, but it's by Brandon Sanderson. And if you know anything about him, he's kind of like, he does a really good job of like doing twists and turns at the end, and it'll take you by surprise. So if you're interested in high fantasy and haven't read this book, or if you're interested in getting into high fantasy, I would definitely check it out. But it is kind of a wild ride, so just prepare yourself.
Awesome. And type that in the chat too, Courtney, if you haven't already, so everybody sees, what cool. You recommend. Maybe, and a lot of people might like to take that up. And then, of course, I will go ahead and answer. I'm going to go on a different road as far as a movie. Again, it's hard when I host to actually like sit down first and think of what I want to say for my answers. But I'm just going to go for a movie that had a profound impact and why. You're probably going to laugh. Ugh, I don't even want to say it. Right. But so I love The Notebook. Okay, aww. I'm going to have to say it.
That's a fantastic book and movie. Stop.
Exactly.
Be proud of that.
And
honestly,
well, I mean, a lot of people just look at it as like a love story. I kind of look beyond it because, I've been with Jake for a long time now, and I hope this doesn't make me cry. But you are very lucky if you find that one person that you can grow old with. And it shows that, things might not be 100% of the time, but it's the ups and downs that make marriage what it is. Commitment makes love what it is forever. And I think that it had a profound impact on me because it was finally a love story that showed, the gut-wrenching tear apart and the choices that sometimes we have to make to let someone go. But if it was meant to be, they'll come back. And, Jake and I have been through some very traumatic times. I think Courtney and Amanda, you might know a little bit about what I'm talking about, but we'll just say, and Stacy, I think I've kind of opened up a little bit to Stacy, recently, but, we've been through a lot of ups and downs together, and I'm talking, bad ups and downs. And so when we became better and we could still be together and we saw each other through the worst of times to the best of times, then that's when you know that like you really found your soulmate. And I just think it's a beautiful love story. Great book, Courtney, too. Yes, of course, it's one of those books where it can actually be made into a movie, and it's even better. But if you saw the movie and then you read the book, you might think the same thing too. So
it's just one of those stories, I feel like, that, it's hard to kind of be able to toe that line where they're both good independently. I will say that I read the book after I watched the movie. I love them both equally. And like you said, it's a good interpretation of what it is to actually have a soulmate versus just something that's kind of shallow, for lack of a better word.
Exactly, exactly. And I think so many people today, marriage is such I want a wedding. I don't want a marriage. So many girls want to rush to the aisle and get married, have that wedding reception and the pictures and everything, but there's not so much connecting, as there used to be. And I'm just really happy and, content. Like Sierra, my daughter, who's in the chat right now, she said, Jake is your person, mama. So yeah, he's definitely my person. So, but thank you, girls, for answering that question. Let's go to the next one. And this time I'll have Courtney go first on this one. So, Courtney, if you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh. I feel like there's like a lot of people that I don't know.
And don't put it this way. Don't put it like whoever, listeners, whoever she picked, it's not saying that's like top number one on her list. Just who is one of someone, a historical figure that you would want to meet and why.
I keep going back and forth between probably Harry Houdini, I'd say. I'm so interested with his kind of outlook on spiritualism and the paranormal. And his wife as well. I think she had, also very intense opinions about it. But I really like that he approached everything kind of with a skeptical mind, while also, at least in the beginning, trying to remain open-minded to the paranormal. So honestly, I'd probably sit down with him just because I feel like I just have so many questions about what he came across during his career as far as spiritualism goes.
I think that is a great history. What would be your first question that you would ask him once you sat down?
Did you choose to not make contact with Beth Houdini, or were you trying to make a point, or is it actually not possible to come back via a seance? Because she always claimed, or I don't want to say claimed, but I think there was always the question in the back of her mind was, do seances not work, or is he just not coming back to make a point? So I think the first question is were you trying to make a point, or is it not possible?
I had a feeling that you were going to ask that, because remember, the one thing that I said that I loved about the story that you did on Houdini was you kind of brought the human side of him out, the fact that he was married, that she was more of like a spiritualist, and she was trying so hard to contact him after he passed. And I hope that he didn't play a joke and could be there and stare. But I'm sure that, and maybe she just didn't reveal it. You never know. I mean, but yeah, that's a great question, because I'd like to know, were you just being stubborn, Houdini? Or did you, could you touch her? Could you see her? That would be nice. So Amanda, and you, if you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
So I had to think this one over a lot, because there's a lot of historical figures that I would like to not necessarily have conversations with, but beat up a little bit, But probably the only positive one that comes to mind is, I guess I really want to sit down with Harriet Tubman. I feel like she was a conductor for the Underground Railroad, and she made 19 trips to the South to free 300 slaves into freedom. And I just think the bravery to go against, an entire half of the nation and continue to do that over and over on the behalf of other people, that is just those are the people I try to interview with my podcast. I love people like that. So I think I'd want to.
That's a fascinating person to want to interview. That's a great choice. And me, I'm going to go kind of a little bit where David from Down the Rabbit Hole was bringing me there when he said Ben Franklin. Now, granted, mine kind of consists of a group. So I would like to sit down and have a conversation with the founding fathers. of our country because I would like to talk to them about what they think of the country that they started and all of our ancestors that broke their backs building this country and how they think that it's going. Maybe ask them, where did they want it to go? Is this where they want it to go? Do they see this as prosperous? Do they see this as good? But I'd love to talk to the people that were there to sign that Declaration of Independence and just get a sense of feeling of what their vision was for this country and how are we doing with that. That's where I'd go with that. So, okay. So is Vicky in here yet? No, she is not. All right. So let's keep going. So we'll go back to Amanda first. So Amanda, what is a skill or hobby that you're passionate about other than podcasting, of course, because we know we know that you're passionate about that. We hear that in your episodes every time. So we know that.
I have to say, like, survivalism. I have, oh my gosh, I have so much money worth of survivalism gear. This is gonna sound so weird, but like, I would just love to be like on those alone shows and just like with my backpack though, not with nothing, but just be like dropped out into the middle of wilderness and have to like build my own house and start my own fires and, filter my own water. And I geek out for that stuff. I don't know why, but that's just my jam. I love survivalism, camping, and anything like that.
I'm with you on that because I've actually started getting books of like foraging in Tennessee to look at different plants and mushrooms and this and that and how to clean water. Because honestly, if we ever got taken out by another country, say China, North Korea, Russia, any of them, I mean, the first thing that they do to hit us is blow out our electric. So, I mean, we got to stop being so pampered. You know what I mean? And try to find other ways to live, like food. Wonder if you can't get to the store, or wonder if you can't, you don't have electric or you don't have a generator. So that's good. You're actually smart trying to branch out a little bit from the norm on how you can possibly take care of yourself if you had to. So that's a smart hobby, I guess.
I feel like it's a valuable skill the way this country's going. I think it's pretty handy to know how to take care of stuff.
Exactly. And then I'll go next to change it up a little bit. So a skill or a hobby, I would have to say, is taking care of my chickens. I love to take care of my chickens. I have my babies and then my bigger ones, and they're just, it's so nice to go out on the porch and just sit with them when it's quiet. And the corn across the field or across the way from my house is getting pretty high now. So it's just such a nice country scene, and they come up on my lap and I cuddle them and, they'll fall asleep on me. So that's something that I'm really passionate about because, we wanted to have them for eggs and everything. And I think if you put care into your animals, then they're going to give you that care back that you need. And Courtney, what's a skill or hobby that you're passionate about besides podcasting?
So this might kind of come out of left field, but I really like weaving, like on a loom. So making like tapestries, or I'm currently making a baby blanket for a friend of mine who's pregnant. It's just kind of a relaxing way to decompress without feeling like I need to be staring at a screen. So it's a lot of fun for me.
Very nice. I didn't know that about you. That's
Yeah.
cool. You'll have to show me some things that you made.
Yeah, I'll show you guys once I finish up this baby. I really want some opinions. I've never made anything for somebody else, but I think that she'll really, really appreciate it. So you guys have to let me know what you think.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. Ooh. So I see that Vicky from Mrs. Spooky Obsessed has joined us. Hello, Vicky. Let me make sure that your audio works, girl.
Hey, girl. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Ooh.
So we were actually starting off this episode with doing a little bit more get to know me. So I'm going to actually come to you now so we can get caught up. We're on our 3 out of 5 questions for the get to know me. So the first one that I asked, myself, of course, Courtney and Amanda was, what is a book or movie that has had a profound impact on you and why?
Ooh, I think Frankenstein. Mainly because I don't know, like in high school, there was a kids show I watched one time. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was supposed to talk about like this whole like discovery history background on Mary Shelley and her inspiration on why she wrote the book and how the very individual that she was basing her story on was may have actually been real, and that he really was like this mad scientist, of course. And I don't know, it just kind of like, oh, I want to read the book because at the time, you know how the Frankenstein book is pretty thick, and as a high schooler, you don't really want to read books that huge, right? But it just kind of like it caught my attention in some way. And so like I think from then on I just had like this sort of like lifetime love for the Frankenstein monster in general, and that kind of like it didn't affect me in a bad way. I'm not too sure to say if it affected me more in a positive way. I think the plus would be it just got me to actually like reading um, original horror stories books. I guess that would be like the best way to put it. And it just kind of got me more and more into like the horror spectrum, all just because of this one kids show talking about Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, reading the book, seeing like the black and white movies, and I guess that's just kind of like that's what sparked me to go ahead and love everything like horror.
It makes perfect sense. And I love the book Frankenstein. So great choice. Great choice. So let me go to the second one we had asked. Vicky, if you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh, Jesus Christ, I have no idea. I would really, really, really need to think about that one. A historical figure, right?
Exactly. And it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be like the
Jesus
number
Christ.
one person on your list. It just if you have 10 people that you would meet, just throw out one of them so we know what kind of people you'd like to talk to.
I think, well, I agree with David. Jesus Christ, of course, I would like to talk to that guy. He's got some good philosophy in life. But I think if there is another historical figure, it would be Galileo. Why? I think because at one point I also kind of looked into the background story, or, the history of that guy. And I really like his scientific view of life because he kind of created like a balance of like science, nature, but also it goes hand in hand with religion. And I feel so compelled to that sort of idea because I know a lot of people out there, they're very much like, no, it's science versus religion. It's black and white. There's no gray in between. And I don't know if there are other people out there who view it the same way as I do, but I do see the gray in between. I do see that there is this sort of balance in between all things, and I like Galileo is like one of those historical figures that I actually would probably like to get to communicate with. I have no idea how to speak his language, but yeah, that would be.
Hey, that's a good one. I would ask him a lot of questions. I definitely would. And then the last one to get you caught up is what is a skill or hobby, besides podcasting, of course, that you're passionate about?
Okay, so I don't know if y'all would believe me, but last year, when I wasn't working, I picked up on this kind of like project on how to create a um, a decor item by hand, my own hand, wreaths. I mean, I feel like sometimes I can't even say that word
Oh my gosh, my mom does
like
that.
perfectly. Really?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's actually pretty fun. Like I really like. I mean, I was burning the tips of my fingers half the time, but it's actually pretty cool because like I would go to like all these aisles in the stores and be like, "Oh, I want this flower. Oh, I want this flower. Oh, this color would be nice. Oh, that's a nice added addition to the wreath." And there I am, like just putting all of it together. And at one point, I was selling it, but then I just decided to kind of like put a stop to it because I was running low on my money and I wasn't working yet. So I was like, until I get a job, then I'll go back to it. But for the meantime, like it was actually a pretty fun project for me.
That's awesome. You know what I had gotten into a little bit before I moved here to Tennessee, and I'll probably get back into it once, Jake starts school and stuff. But have you guys ever seen that wood burning? where it's like a wood burning tool and you take
Yes.
like a piece of
Yes.
wood.
It's so
That's
satisfying.
sick.
I loved it, and it was so easy, and it comes with different points, like so you can make different shapes and like make flowers, and I'd make trees and like a stream on a piece of wood, and it was so cool because you're like, you have to be so precise on how hard that you press that tip, or like you'll get too dark, it'll burn or it will seep in too much. So they have actually a really cheap kit on Amazon. If anybody is interested in trying it, it's like just type up wood burning kit. And I mean, goodness, you can take pieces of wood around your house, if you go outside in the woods and just make something, neat for your house. I mean, it's like a cheap hobby that gets you to think about something other than your phone. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
For sure, because that sounds like something that can really keep you on your toes and really.
Oh, it was fun. You guys should try it. Try it. Okay, so now we're going to get back into order, and here is another question. We'll go with so Amanda, what is one fear or phobia that you have, and how do you cope with it?
Spiders, and I don't cope with it. I just struggle.
Me
I'm
too.
terrified of spiders. I love them. I respect them. I understand their place in our ecosystem. I don't want them around me. And if they're around me, I'm sorry, they have to meet certain death. That's just the rules. So I don't make the rules, but those are the rules. So I'm terrified of them. I can't.
I will have to go ahead and follow with my answer, which would be the same thing. I have arachnophobia like none other, and I will walk like Jesus Christ on water if I see the smallest little jumping spider. I mean, I am taking off like that duck, Adam, that's on the reels on Instagram. Adam, that's me, like running, because it doesn't matter how small, how big, I freak the fuck out. I'm like, no lie. It's I don't know. I think I'm scared of them because you can't hear them coming. And then like I heard that like you swallow like a couple spiders and you're like so many a year out of your
Don't
mouth.
tell me.
I crashed my car into a ditch once because of a spider.
Oh my god.
Yep, me almost. Yep, it was on my rear view and I had to like pull off the road. I didn't crash, but I almost did, but I pulled off.
No, I straight hopped out. It wasn't going very fast.
Well, Amanda and I will be the ones trying to break our fear, hopefully soon.
Will we?
All right, so Courtney, what is one fear or phobia that you have and how do you cope with it?
So I think probably like the biggest phobia, quote unquote, I have is like flying in an airplane. I absolutely hate it, especially when I'm alone on an airplane, which seems how I always travel is like to go visit somebody. I'm always traveling alone. And honestly, the way that I cope with it is just kind of like exposure therapy. I just have to get through it. But you guys should have seen me. I went to Italy for my honeymoon back in November, and we were going over like just a really like rough patch of air, and I legit thought we were going to fall out of the sky. Meanwhile, my husband is in like the seat next to me, passed out, and it was just a very real moment for me because I was like, this is marriage. He is fine, and I am about to have a panic attack here at 40,000 feet in the air. So that's great. But yeah, it's flying and I just struggle.
Oh, hey, I used to be like that. So don't feel bad. That's scary, Courtney. I mean, you were putting your hands into, something that's 35,000 feet up in the air, and really not many people survive when you come down. So, I mean, It's not that you cannot be scared about that. So I'm with you on that one too, definitely. And what about you, Vicky? What's one fear or phobia that you have and how do you cope with it?
I don't know what it's called exactly, but I have like this major fear, like, okay, not to get all depressing. Let's say y'all have a dog. The dog leaves the house, it gets run over, it dies, you have to pick it up and bury it in the backyard, right? Of course. My fear, I don't know if it's like towards dead bodies, but it scares the fuck out of me to be anywhere near dead bodies, like real life dead bodies. I can't touch it. For some reason, it hurts my soul almost spiritually at this level that it bothers me so much. Like I can't cope with it. And for me, I'm like, nope, I gotta be like more than 6 feet away from these dead bodies because it's just, I don't know what to say, awkward. It's not awkward. It's just like, it gets me nervous, extremely nervous. And
Like that, like they're going to end up like Pet Cemetery and come back and like eat you or something?
no, not exactly per se that. I mean, that'd be a total different fear unlocked right there. But I can't cope. Like that is my struggle. I can't cope being near a dead body. Okay, so let's say a funeral. That's different because
was
I
gonna
don't know.
ask.
There's this sort of difference. But like dead animals or an actual dead body. Like I said, if I get near it or if you want me to touch it, it hurts my soul, and I mean that almost literally. It just like spiritually, it affects me in a weird.
I get it. I get it. I mean, it's a dead body. I get it. I think a lot of us probably wouldn't know what to do if we ran into one, you know, where
Yeah.
you're in the woods and then you see somebody hanging like in that suicide forest in Japan or something. You know, I think we
Yeah.
all creeped out. I get it. All right. And then the last question, we're going to go with Courtney first. Courtney, if you could go on an all expenses paid dream vacation,
Ooh.
where would you go and why?
Ooh. Ooh. Oh my gosh. I feel like honestly, I want to go to Japan very, very badly. You guys may not know this about me, but I am Japanese. And I have a lot of family there that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting. But also, Japan is like really, really spooky. So, for multiple reasons, I would just like to go to Japan.
That's a good. You know what? I'll have to agree with you on that one. I mean, I have my own one that I'm picking, but one of the places I would go would definitely be Japan. And what about you, Amanda? If you could go on an all expenses paid dream vacation, and let me rephrase this a little bit. You know, it doesn't have to be like just for relaxing. Maybe it could be a place that you want to investigate or you want to go see a monument. But where would you go and why?
If I had to pick only one place, it would be honestly a toss-up between Bora Bora or Australia, because I've always wanted to go to Australia. My homie Steve Irwin, you know, I gotta go check out his zoo and check out all of his stuff. And the Great Barrier Reef would be awesome to snorkel. So that's a toss-up, but I do know that Bora Bora is gorgeous and very expensive, so that would definitely be worth taking that free.
Also, Amanda, not to scare
Awesome.
you, but there is a spider season in Australia. So if you do
Doing
go,
her dirty.
pay attention.
Tell me why you
Dude,
said
if you-
there is a spider and I jumped like there's one actually.
I'm sorry.
Dude,
That's how bad my
Australia.
fear.
Oh.
Australia has the most aggressive, dangerous spider in the world, Amanda, the funnel web spider.
Dude, it's like the
why
size
would
of a
you wanna go
dog.
there?
It's huge.
They have
Yeah.
a lot of the things that want to kill and eat people, but they also have just really cool animals and really cool, like their climate and landscape varies so wildly across that continent.
We'll get some found footage from Amanda's travels, and she'll have this big spider just, laying on her in the middle of the desert. And Vicky, what about you? If you could go on an all expenses paid dream vacation or just a place that you'd want to go and visit, a monument, anything, where would you go and why?
I would say Egypt. Like since I was a little girl, I've always been fascinated. I mean, just a moment ago, here I am talking about dead bodies, right? And they're like full of mummies. But like Egypt has always been like this sort of like a dream place since I was so young that I want to see the pyramids. I want to see for myself like how big are these monuments, and would it really put you into perspective? Like, okay, is it man-made or was there help? Was there truly aliens? And just seeing it on screen, I'm not feeling that experience. I feel like in order for me to question it, I have to be there in person and self. And plus, like they say, it's hot. I live in hot. I'd probably survive pretty.
Egypt is a great place. I mean, who would not want to go and see those pyramids and see what they made way back when and just get that whole feeling of where that civilization was, living in the desert, but yet they could make these beautiful carvings like the Sphinx. I mean, and how tall the pyramids are. It's just amazing. It's like a wonder of the world, truly. And then I think I would have a toss up. I'm going to kind of cheat and do because I think they're kind of close together. So that's why. But I would want to go visit Transylvania and go visit Vlad's Dracula's castle, as well as the Hoyo Baciu forest
Oh,
in Romania. I would
I'm
want to
so jealous.
spend a month in that circle where nothing grows, spend a whole month, I don't care, 6 months. I would sleep there to go and investigate and do so many experiments on that place. But I understand that Vlad was a very sick guy, but I don't know why. I am so intrigued with his story of Vlad the Impaler and what he did and how the people of Romania hail him as a hero, even though he impaled hundreds of thousands of people in his own front yard to scare off the Turkish. So I love that story. I love Dracula's castle. I'm hoping to cover the story here in about, I think the episode's going to come out in 2 or 3 weeks, Vlad the Impaler. But that's one of my favorite scary places, old time story. He's just God. He was just, even his old picture that they found. I don't know if anyone has ever seen his picture where he has like the old porn stash, but then the big tall, king's hat that he wore and just how he looked. I don't know. I'm so floored by how intimidating that he is, I guess I want to say.
That's
So,
a
yeah.
really good answer.
I like scary stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
but
balls.
anyway, so I hope that all of our listeners enjoy getting to know us all a little better. So now we're going to do a little quick 80s trivia for you listeners, because if you heard the music in the beginning, I have a little 80s vibe going on. So we're going to do 10 questions. Everybody's allowed to participate. They're easy questions. It's mainly just to have some fun. So let's go. Number 1. And remember, we're kind of thinking 80s here. Which iconic band released the hit single, Sweet Child O' Mine, in the 1980s? 10 seconds on the clock and go. And of course, you all got it right. It is Guns N' Roses with lead single Axl, and then the guitar player, one of the best guitar players, Slash. So, number 2, who played the lead role of Marty McFly in Back to the Future trilogy? 10 seconds on the clock, go. And you are right, Michael J. Fox, who loved Back to the Future. There is no good movies like that anymore. The 80s had such the best movies. Oh, I wish I could go back. But if anyone hasn't seen Michael J. Fox's kind of like biography movie that he just recently put out, I highly suggest that you watch it. It's called Still, and you can find it on Apple TV, probably some other places, but that's where I watched it. But let me tell you what, was I crying my eyes out? That guy, I've loved him since watching him in the 80s and even Family Ties. I loved Family Ties. Alex P. Keaton here. But yeah, and just seeing how he's tried to overcome, his disease of Parkinson's disease. He is truly an idol for people to follow. So if you haven't seen it, it's called Still. I highly recommend you watch it. Number 3, what was the highest grossing film of the 1980s? 10 seconds on the clock, go. Ooh, Vicky, you got it right. E.T., y'all. Come on now. E.T. was like my favorite movie. I had the doll, I had the Michael Jackson narration record. I mean, I had everything. David, if you have not seen E.T., you have to see it just for the nostalgia of the 1980s with little Gertie, Drew Barrymore. I mean, oh my gosh, you just have to see it. Have you guys, Courtney, have you seen E.T.?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Mainly just because the doll or whatever that they used was just like really fucking weird looking. But it's a great movie.
I know. It is a great movie. And you're right, Andy. E.T. Phone Home. All right. Now, here's another one that might be a stumper. Let's see who really has paid attention to, a lot of 80s reels going around where you see different things from the 80s, like shows. So, in the TV show Knight Rider, what was the name of the talking car driven by Michael Knight? 10 seconds on the clock, go. Congratulations, Kit was the correct answer. If you have ever watched Knight Rider with, what was his name? Somebody write in, because it's on the tip of my tongue. Who was the actor?
Nicolas Cage?
Nope. He played Hasselhoff. There you go, Stacy. Thank you. David Hasselhoff played Michael Knight in Knight Rider. And guess what KIT stands for? David, do you know what KIT stands for? Can you write it in if you know? Well, if you don't know, it's no, not KISS, but close. We'll say close. But KIT stands for Knight, KINIGHT, Industries 2000. If you remember, the talking car would sometimes say Knight Industries 2000. So yes, you got it. Yes, Amanda. All right. Next one. Who won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year in 1984 with their album Thriller? Go. Tito. All right. Of course, it was Michael Jackson. Hee. All right. So here's the next question. Which film starred Tom Cruise as a fighter pilot in training? Go. Up. And if you said Top Gun, you are right. Now, Stacy asked a question earlier from the thriller question. She asked bonus, who directed the music video? Now, I'm just going to throw out, I didn't look anything up, but I'm just going to say Steven Spielberg. And what did you say? Are you typing it? Just John Landis. Okay. So, Stacy, I have a bonus question right back at you. Whose voice was in the thriller video? Exactly. Vincent what? Yep. Vincent Price. Oh, good job, guys. Damn. You know your shit. Good deal. And here is the last question. Who was the lead singer of the band Queen in the 1980s? Desi. That is right. It's not Desi, it's Freddie. And actually, I have a let's see if any of you all had this toy. Probably not, because I think most of you are younger to not have it. But what was the name of the robotic toy that became a worldwide sensation in the 1980s? And honestly, you see a lot of people playing it still today. Speak and Spell, Fabulous Fred, Furby, Teddy Ruxpin. Oh my God, David, I had a Teddy Ruxpin. Dear God. Light Bright. Oh, I had a Light Bright too, but a Rubik's Cube. Ding, ding, ding. Rubik's Cube. Gotta love those Rubik's Cube. Hey, F1 Grid, welcome. Welcome. We're just finishing up some trivia. All right. Do you still hate that thing? Oh, Stacy, do you hate it? Because it took me a while. I've gotten it once, but that's the, oh my God, I think it took me like 2 days to get it. But I hope you all enjoyed a little bit of the get to know me and, of course, a little trivia that we like to do just to get everybody loose and ready for a good show. But what we're going to do is get into now my story, which is covering the Insectoid Aliens. Ooh, is ready because I'm ready. All right. So, and of course, you know, any questions, ask girls. If you want to stop and ask a question, you know, I'm just going to keep on kind of going until somebody stops me. So just butt in if you have a question. Again, I will have to say on insectoids, they are a lot more of, I would say, sci-fi, imaginative creatures, but I was able to dig up some things on them about some few types of insectoid aliens. So here we go. So the idea of extraterrestrial life has captivated us for generations, and the possibility of insectoid aliens visiting Earth is an intriguing thought. Could there be a hidden truth to this mystery that has yet to be uncovered? What do we really know about these mysterious creatures, and what could their presence on Earth mean for mankind? We'll explore the evidence that suggests insectoid aliens have visited us in the past, consider stories of alien abduction, evaluate what information the government may be keeping from us, and ask ourselves if these creatures are real, what do they want from us? So the phrase insectoid is used to refer to any creature or thing that has a body or features that resemble those of insects and spiders that are found on Earth. Now, the word is made up of insect and oid, a suffix that implies similarity. Insect-like beings have been a critical part of the history of science fiction and fantasy. One of the earliest examples of this was Georges Méliès' 1902 movie, A Trip to the Moon, in which he portrayed the selenites of the moon as an insectoid. Olaf Stapledon follows suit in his 1937 book, Star Maker, also using insectoid creatures. In the pulp fiction novels, these were often used as the antagonist who would threaten the heroine. Later depictions of these hostile insect aliens include Robert A. Heinlein's Starship Troopers novel and Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game series, which features, quote, the buggers. Now, the Hive Queen is a common storyline in novels like C.J. Chariot's Serpent's Reach and the Alien film franchise. Sexuality has been a part of works like Philip Jose Farmer's The Lovers, Octavia Butler's Xenogenesis novels, and China Melville's Perdido Street Station. What do we know about these insectoid aliens? Well, the insectoid or insectilians are insect-like humanoid creatures, typically standing between 4 and 7 feet tall, with long, narrow faces, large, angled, insect-like eyes, and slender bodies that give them a distinctly insect-like appearance. They are often accompanied by a variety of small grays with dark skin and have been reported as wearing robes or hoods similar to the Jawas of Star Wars fame. It is believed that they are possible for both good and bad agendas. Furthermore, the most prominent species of extraterrestrial insect-like beings is the praying mantis-like creature. And I'm sure you have all heard of that or seen it even in books and TV shows and others. The insectoid mantis. These beings have a long, narrower portion of the face with large, rounder eyes, but with the same insect-like appearance. The comparison is heightened by the praying mantis type extremely thin, long torsos, long, extremely thin arms as well, which are usually crooked into a sharp bend at the mid-joint, with the hand and fingers mittens sloping almost vertically downward from wrist, and legs also bent at an almost right angle at the mid-joint, creating a crouched pose. The overall effect is the characteristic praying mantis look and can be either malevolent or benevolent according to their agenda. Now, the other type, the insectoid Onkians. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's spelled O-O-N as in Nancy, K-I-A-N as in Nancy S. Onkians. Allegedly, they are very similar to the mantis insectoids, but these are bright red in color with square jaws rather than pointed jaws, such as other insectoids, and they're meat eaters, although I don't think humans are on their normal food source list. It is rumored that abductees have spotted these creatures on spaceships. People have also reported that they have encountered the same peculiar and menacing figure on multiple occasions. For example, a law student was taken away and examined by 4 praying mantis aliens in Maryland in 1973. And another time, a young man was being assaulted by the same being and had to be saved with some effort. It is speculated that these must have been malicious types of aliens. Another type, the insectoid Atiens, again, don't know if I'm pronouncing it, but it's spelled A-T-A-I-E-N as in Nancy S. Some experiencers feel that some are not insectoid-like in nature, but rather unintelligent, gentle, spirited, but somewhat hyper and jerky-moving humanoid-like form, both males and females. It would seem that these are of a humanoid, insectoid, benevolent, and friendly type. They also seem to have intervened in the past on behalf of Earth. The other type, the insectoid deponoids, They're just considered insect-like creatures. And the insectoid screeds, Skreeds, 5 feet tall insect-like creatures, super intelligent, very smart. And then the last that I could find, the insectoid/ant people. They're an insectoid humanoid species or of alien beings at around 5 feet in height, have crab-like claws on their hands and feet. They have antennas on their heads, and they pick up frequency, and that's how they recognize people. We always carry the same frequency from lifetime to lifetime. Now, in the ancient Egyptian mythological universe, insects play an incredibly significant role. Atum, Atum, the creator god, is connected to the scarab beetle, which is a part of their life-death cycle ceremonies. Charms and amulets featuring the beetle have been discovered, even one on the heart. This beetle is associated with the resurrection myth of the Egyptians. Furthermore, the beetle-headed god Khepri is often depicted in ancient artwork. He is similar to the dung beetle, which pushes the sun from dawn to dusk, and is happened as to be captured as an insectoid of some type. UFOs are a hot topic, and part of the UFO culture is about what people think about the aliens said to be involved. When people write about our enemies, they often bring up UFO culture because it's a great way to explore the extraterrestrial species used in fiction. It's kind of odd that insect-type aliens aren't in as much UFO close encounter stories. They've been a big part of sci-fi since the early 1900s. Some sites do classify gray aliens as having insectoid features, but that's not the same as what we think of when we say insect. If UFO stories are true, then it's not likely that human space travelers will meet intelligent insect aliens. This means that if you want to see insect-like aliens, you won't find them aliens either. Some people think the ant people in Native American folklore are part of the gray-like alien society, but that's not widely accepted in UFO culture. According to a Chris O'Brien from Mysterious Valley, they live in an inner earth, dense, sophisticated subterranean cave system. Their only purpose is to take people to the inner earth when the earth is shaken. Mother Earth is a sentient being, and it is going to shake many of people's negativity off of her back. The world splits and becomes 2 worlds, inner and outer. There will still be a third density world, but the other Earth will be a higher density. On one particular day, this Chris O'Brien said that he encountered an ant-like creature, which he thought was a male due to its size. It had a black color, and he noted that it had antennas on its head. It was wearing a cape and clear glasses, while also carrying a book, which made it look scholarly and very intellectual. Throughout history, insects have had a profound impact on the mythology of many cultures and civilizations. In the American Southwest, stories of the ant people exist in the form of myths and pictographs. These mysterious creatures saved and protected the Hopi tribe, Hopi, or Hopi tribe, and even gave them the knowledge to survive and thrive. It is said that the Grand Canyon is the home of the ant people. Additionally, the Sand people, SAN, from South Africa, venerated Kagan, the praying mantis god, who is believed to have given them important knowledge, and is even credited with the creation of the species. Throughout the world, insects have been featured prominently in different cultures, mythologies. For example, certain Native American tribes in the Southwest have stories of the ant people and believe that the praying mantis species was created when a bee placed an egg inside one while aiding it across a river. A 2016 article in the Daily Mail reported an unusual incident in which California psychotherapists were administering a hypnosis session when the patient started relaying messages from an alien being named Hands. This extraterrestrial was from Alpha Centauri and was on the Xenos species, an insectoid creature with 8 hands and multiple hearts that was about 8 feet tall. The counselors mentioned that the entity had a very childish and endearing demeanor and said its life expectancy was 120 years. The 2012 video of an apparition resembling an insectoid alien was reviewed by the Taipei Times, allegedly taken at Jiaming Lake in Taiwan. The image was broadcasted by various local TV stations and made public by a UFO organization. According to the researchers, the creature was identified as a praying mantis type insectoid creature. In the early year of 2019, a lady from New York submitted a statement to MUFON that she had an experience with a being measuring 6 feet tall who appeared to be a praying mantis-like alien while she was in her backyard shed. Additionally, she noted an unaccounted time gap but had no recollection of being taken away. And on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens, they discuss an episode that tells the story of humans evolving into insectoid beings. After a disastrous occurrence, some humans had to go into hiding and evolved into insectoids. This episode also covers that alleged encounter with an extraterrestrial called J-Rod, who supposedly descended from Earth's future and has been in contact with the US government to help with the advancement of technology. So there you go, wondering also, remember when we've talked about that treaty before, that a past president signed us into a treaty with a type of alien where they could do experiments on us and then we would get technology. So there's a little bit more backing on that. The praying mantis insectoid is often described by those claiming to be abductees as being in charge of the Greys, which I thought was very interesting. Now, of course, everyone knows the Greys. They're described as being little more than drones or possibly some type of alien robot, as Vicky had mentioned in her story. The mantis is clearly in charge and usually the one conducting the examinations. According to abductee and artist David Huggins, the insectoid alien that has a praying mantis appearance is the overseer. David's book, which is Love in an Alien Purgatory, The Life and Fantastic Art of David Huggins, reveals his incredible association with aliens and that he's fathered, get this, 60 alien hybrid children.
Holy cow.
Dude's been
That's insane.
Some UFO investigators and extraterrestrial pundits believe that the insectoids might be attempting to create a fresh alien race to ensure the survival of their species. Others reckon that these entities are simply experimenting on humans in a similar way certain humans experiment on animals on Earth. So hence, why can't they do that to us? Those who have been taken have reported numerous ways that the insectoids use to converse with them and have also depicted how they interact among each other. Some abducted individuals report that the mantis communicates to them telepathically, while others describe being shown holographic images, usually depicting the potential destruction of the Earth by humans. People who have been taken by aliens have reported that the mantis speaks with other extraterrestrials by making a series of clicks. These bizarre noises are often featured in alien films, like in the science fiction movie, and I'm sure we've all seen this, Signs with Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix. Great movie. If no one has seen it, start watching it tonight. But that movie was from 2002. But again, you know, remember when we all watched Star Wars and how Princess Leia or Obi-Wan Kenobi would come up in the holographic images from R2-D2? And we thought, wow, that's probably so in the future. These are talking that they've seen things like that, but what they have seen is the destruction of Earth by us. So think about that next time, everyone, when you litter. Just throwing that out there. So, in closing, when it comes to the possibility of extraterrestrial activity, there is a wealth of evidence that could support the notion that insectoid aliens have been visiting us. Reports of UFO sightings from around the world, along with mysterious patterns and electromagnetic readings, indicate that something strange may be occurring on Earth. And if anybody has watched episodes of Skinwalker Ranch, another thing you could always look at is when using some of their instruments, they are getting an EMF type noise. You could think that if there are aliens in those mountains in the Uinta Basin, when they're clicking, could that be what they're hearing? Because again, we don't know what types are all here. If they've just come here, or do they live here? Are they in the subterranean Earth? So think about that. And I found this quote. It was no accident that they looked insect-like to human beings, though their internal organs were now much more complex and specialized than any insect, and they have evolved an internal skeleton and shed most of the exoskeleton. Their physical structure still echoed their ancestors, who could easily have been very much like Earth's ants. But don't be fooled by that, said Graff. It's just as meaningful to say that our ancestors could easily have been very much like squirrels. And that was a quote from Ender's Game. And that is my coverage on Insectoid Alien. I hope you all liked it. Any questions? Definitely Predator.
I have a quick question for you.
Shoot.
Have you ever heard, I'm sure you have, but of the legendary city of Agartha?
Yes, I have. Now, I was thinking of all of us covering that in like our next, after the alien abduction stories next episode, maybe doing like a little deep dive on that. What do you think, Courtney?
I definitely would be interested in it. I will not talk about it now because I won't ruin anything. But let's just say if you guys haven't heard of it, it's definitely it plays a role in, I think, insectoid like history, for lack of better terminology. So stay tuned for that, I guess.
And well, because I want to take this alien thing, like a little bit deeper. Again, we're going to do a little bit of alien abduction stories, but, I want to do kind of like a freelance for our last episode. So what I mean by freelance is if there's something that we didn't cover in these series that we've done on this alien series, if you guys want to dig up something that you want to do like a 15, 20 minute like summarize on about aliens, what you think of them, whether it's a story, whether it's, where you think they live, where are they from, anything, but just kind of go free off of it, and just, I think aliens need to be talked about more. And I think that's been proven since we've had a recent Congress meeting about UFOs and aliens. So apparently they're coming more to the surface to be talked about by government officials and political figures. And I think us as researchers, it's up to us to kind of dig, for as much information as we can to maybe pull some people that don't believe in aliens and UFOs, not make them believe, but maybe give them some more evidence to open their mind.
I would definitely be interested in that. I think that there's a lot more that all of us can kind of discuss when it comes to just the topic of UFOs and extraterrestrial life. I mean, our first and now our third series has been all about aliens. So I don't know if you guys, it seems like people like it. So if anyone's interested, let us know. But I'm down for this, Sarah.
Let me ask you girls a question. Have you ever heard of, and actually the listeners too, if you want to type in, you guys have been answering things too, which I love the interaction. So all y'all will just say, do you guys remember seeing on, whether it be Ancient Aliens or some other shows about underground, there are these like cave systems, but they were carved out. They have like, carve out where like there's windows and then there's rooms and like you can tell like people have lived down there. Do you all think that there's a possibility of an alien living in the subterranean?
Oh,
Sorry,
I'm
can
so
you get my
frustrated
mic
with
to
this
turn
thing.
Go ahead.
Everyone talked at once.
Well, go ahead, one at a time.
So like there's always that possibility that I truly, they wouldn't be extraterrestrials if they're like from, the inside of Earth, or like, like the lower crust or whatever you want to call it. But who's to say that they didn't like come here from somewhere else and are now living beneath us? I fell down a rabbit hole the other day, kind of on this topic actually. And the more I look into it, the more I feel like it's definitely a possibility. Who's to say that there's not something down there that we don't know about?
Right. And the part that I just read a few minutes ago where it said that abductees were told, like with that one guy that had 60 hybrid babies, we're being told that they're trying to secure their future. But the fact that they keep showing abductees the earth being destroyed by us idiot humans, maybe they're also trying to, when we're gone, they'll inhabit this earth. It just makes you wonder how far that goes. And everybody about the flat earth conspiracy theory, the moon's hollow. So then that's where I wanted to throw that question. Do you think that there is like a world inside our earth, whether it be just subterranean, whether you think that there's a middle earth? How deep do you think that might go? What do you think, Amanda?
I don't know. I'm like, me, natural kind of skeptic. So I'm kind of on the edge.
Can I interject?
Of course.
Okay, so going into that whole thing that you asking if there's a world within our world, I remember, I think well over 10 years ago, this was a thing that supposedly came out on YouTube, that there was these sort of scientists. Were they Russian? I don't remember exactly. It's old. That what they were trying to do, I think they were geologists, if I'm not mistaken. What they were trying to do, they were in, I don't know what land. They put like they dig a hole so deep, I think that's how it goes, that they put like this sort of microphone just to hear if there's water running, is somewhere in the earth.
I've
And
heard.
when the yeah, like when they get the recording, they hear screams, they hear demonic like laughter and chains breaking, and I have no idea what else. And then
That's insane.
when I tried looking for it again, it just disappeared all of a sudden. And then recently I went back to it like last year. I was like, I gotta know, what was that situation? All of a sudden it said something like, oh yes, there were scientists looking for something. No, it's debunked. There's no such thing as like a hell within our like middle layer of earth, or whatever you want to call it. Like that story was not real. It's a myth, it's a legend, it's this sort of like a ghost story that they give to the public just to try to attract an audience of this sort. And I was like, bull effing shit, man. Like, I know it was real, because why was it such a popular thing when it came out? And then why would they?
And I saw that too, Vicky. Sorry, I know I'm like coupling on top of yours. I saw that, and I also saw that they had like a really clever scientific explanation for what that sound was. But anyone who heard it, you can distinctly hear like dozens of different octave voices screaming in the same pitch. It's like screaming. Like,
I know what you're all talking about now. They tried to say like it sounded like hell, and
Yeah.
it kind of did sound like hell at
Yes.
first.
the gates of hell, they called it. They said they broke through the gate of hell, and that's what the sound was. And they tried to explain it with some scientific rationale, but there's no way that was anything other than.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, I truly believe there is like some sort of like hidden society beneath us and whatnot. And I mean, why would they talk about like this whole, I don't want to get all historical here, but like why would they talk about like Hitler doing this sort of like experimentation or giving into the idea of the hollow earth theory. I mean, I may have that wrong, but that was at one point I did hear that supposedly Adolf Hitler wanted to do something like that because he was looking for some sort of escape from, what was it, World War II?
Yep. And then you can add in the whole Antarctica thing about, Admiral Byrd, what he had seen, and that, there's a cutout hole there in Antarctica. You can see it, go up there, and yet it's the place where there's a treaty signed that nobody can go there for vacation or anything like that. So, you just see there's layer on top of layer. And I'd love to do, a live show in a couple weeks where we're just talking about conspiracy theory of the Antarctica, the subterranean, the Middle Earth, the moon landing, the flat Earth theory, where we can do 1 or 2 live shows. Because I think, when you start talking about that, I think that kind of represents a little bit of UFO and aliens as well. Because, I've heard from people that, the moon is like the Death Star. That's why we don't see the other side of it, because it's like a floating galactic federation type thing. I mean, we hear the moon landing wasn't real, and then it is real. And I just think that this alien thing can turn into, you can go so many directions with it. And I think all of us are great researchers that, I think we should do something after this alien series, getting into more of, like, Courtney, you said I can't say again. What is it? Anarch. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say the city of Atlantis. Agartha.
Same, but we can talk about that too.
Exactly. Because you never know. And there's so many people that say that they've been abducted by aliens, and women that are having these babies, and men that are fathering children. You want to know, what is the end result? What is the ender's game? What is it? Is it to help us? Is it to help themselves? So I just think that we can take this so many ways. But yeah, I just very interesting. It's remember when you were little and you were told that if you dug, you could dig a hole to China?
Yes.
Remember
Right.
that?
Yeah.
Granted, I don't think that we could do that, but you just wonder what is in the middle of our earth. Because how time passes. Time passes, and dust and formation and things move. You don't know who was here before us, truly, because there was no one back in the day that's here now to meet with those people and find out about. I mean, we're digging up bones and everything like that, but you don't know. Just don't know. Anyway, so I think this is a great wrap up. So I want to say a couple things first. Dear listeners, thank you for joining us on this spine-tingling journey into the world of insectoid aliens. Of course, we all hope that you enjoyed exploring the mysteries and revelations surrounding these intriguing beings. Now, next Tuesday, we are going to dive headfirst into the captivating realm of alien abductions. Ooh, I cannot wait for these stories. Buckle up as we uncover the chilling stories that will leave you questioning the boundaries of our reality. You won't want to miss it. And remember, sharing is caring. By sharing our podcasts and episodes, you help us get new listeners who are hungry for the unknown. Your support is invaluable in ensuring that we continue to bring well-researched and engaging stories every week. Come on, we can explore and expand our knowledge together. Don't forget to connect with all of us, Amanda, Courtney, myself, on Instagram and TikTok to stay updated with the latest news, behind the scenes glimpses, and exciting announcements about each of our respective podcasts. Now, I need a favor from everyone in here and anyone that is going to listen to this episode when it's posted tomorrow. I need a favor from you all. So do you know what tomorrow is, Courtney?
I do. I'm very excited.
So tomorrow is Courtney and I's first live show on YouTube for Haunts in the Cabin. Now, here's the thing. You all added us on Instagram, but you didn't add us over on YouTube. So to be prepared for tomorrow, when we go live on YouTube Facebook, and Twitch, you need to go over right now. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to go pull up YouTube, type in Haunts in the Cabin, and subscribe to the channel. You all know it's free. Now, it doesn't mean that you like it because you haven't even seen an episode yet, but it means that you're intrigued to find out what's going to happen with this show. And Courtney and I guarantee a wild ride. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds on the Jeopardy clock because we have like maybe a couple hundred followers on Instagram already. So we should have a couple hundred subscribers on YouTube.
Just a reminder before we get into like the little timer, in case you follow us on Instagram thinking that we'd be live there, we cannot go live there through our little like live streaming host. So if you want to see the live streams, you need to be following us on either Twitch, Facebook, or on YouTube, preferably YouTube, because I think that's where we're going to be the most active. But you'll be able to see the live stream at any of those locations.
Right. We, of course, tried, but Instagram does not have that capability. You have to almost be like a top producer with Instagram. So, again, I'm going to put 10 seconds on the clock for all y'all that are in here listening live. And then tomorrow, all my wonderful listeners that are going to be listening to it. So 10 seconds, go to YouTube. It's in the cabin. Subscribe right now. So what you will do is go to YouTube, type in Haunts in the Cabin, and pull it up, subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow night live at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for our first episode. Now, this season, we're going to have an immersive exploration of Courtney and I's own haunted houses, plus chilling stories from our friends and listeners, and so much more. So, if you have a scary experience, whether it's on a paranormal investigation, whether you saw something in your house, whether you saw a UFO, a Bigfoot, a cryptid, I don't care what it is, we want you to email us, hauntsinthe.cabin@gmail.com. You don't have to come on the show if you don't want to, if you want us to read it, but we can also bleep your face out. So if you just want to talk, but please email us. And until then, remember next Tuesday at 7 p.m. live, we're going to do our alien abduction stories. Always make sure that you look up on our Instagram. I usually send everyone the private link that can come in here and chat. Other than that, you'll have like the link that'll be on like a post that all of us put on our own Instagrams. But other than that, as far as seeing you for tomorrow, Haunts in the Cabin, stay tuned, stay haunted for the twisted tales that lie ahead. And y'all, keep exploring your strange.